Hello everyone, hope everybody's doing great today. Appreciate those watching this video. I hope you enjoy it. And today we're talking about Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven. This movie has a great cast. You have Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman, and Gene Hackman. At those top three on the bill. You can't get really any better than that, especially when it was made in the early 90s. So you get this fantastic cast. And to me, I think this is probably maybe my favorite Clint Eastwood movie, Western. The other one I really like is The Outlaw Jesse Wells. So these two are kind of neck and neck. Both of them are great Westerns. But I think this one might edge Outlaw Jesse Wells for me just a little bit. I know there are a lot of Clint Eastwood fans that like the no-name Westerns that he made at the beginning of his career, especially The Good, Bad, and Ugly. But to me, I think this is my favorite personal. And I know a lot of you who's watching this video have already seen this movie. So let me know in the comments below. What do you think about Unforgiven? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's terrible? Do you think it's great? So let's get into this. First off, if you're somebody who happen to have never seen Unforgiven, you don't know what it's about. It's basically about these cowboys, they're visiting a bar. I'm going to say a bar. In this bar, like good old Westerns, that has some prostitutes, has some girls. And one of the girls laughed at the guy's member because she thought it was a little small. And he ends up cutting her up. So the whores get together and they combine their money and they put like a bounty on these two cowboys' heads. And so they got these outsiders coming in and trying to kill these cowboys for these whores because they cut this one up. And you do got some kind of like moral thing there where, even though they're prostitutes, they're still women. And, it doesn't really give you right to cut them up. Everybody seems to think that way except for Gene Hackman's little character, Little Bill. Little Bill, I don't know. I think he's a he-man woman hater. Still a phrase from the Little Rascals there. Because he just sees these girls, these women as products. And that, you can do whatever you want with them. And since they're not really doing... I guess since they're doing dirty work, unmoral things, they can be treated as ever you want to because he just lets these cowboys off very lightly. Just finds them, they have to give them horses. And it's clear that the one who actually did the cutting, he wasn't really sorry for this, for what his actions were. But, I do kind of feel bad for Davy Boy. I can't call him Little Davy, but for Davy Boy. Because he seems like he's the one who really is regretful for the actions that he took place. He's the one who brings his best horses. He actually brings a horse for the woman who actually got cut up. He gave her personal horse. And, this is kind of where the theme of Unforgiven is. It's like none of these characters are forgiven for their actions. And to me, like the one that I think should be forgiven for his action is Davy Boy. He's the one that's most sorrowful. And I feel like overall it's bad, it's wrong for these the prostitutes for not forgiving him. I mean, what else can he do? Like giving her a horse is like a big deal. It is a big thing, especially in that time period. What else do they expect him to do? I guess cut his own face up. I don't know. He's the one that actually didn't really actually do it. And he admits that he was in the wrong. And the girl who got cut up, the woman who got cut up, she seems to be the one who's willing to forgive him. But, I guess it's peer pressure and she's kind of shy. She's more a follower. She's not a leader. So she kind of lets the other ones talk for her and think for her, if she should be forgiving or not. In that instance, so when Davy Boy, I'm going to give away spoilers because this is like a 30-year-old movie. When Davy Boy dies, I kind of feel like, that's kind of unjust. Like, of the two cowboys who did the deed, he was actually kind of regretful for his actions. He didn't, he realized that he made a mistake and he kind of got caught up in the moment and, he was sorrowful for his thing. So I always feel bad when Davy Boy gets shot, gets killed in this movie. And, I feel like in that case, the prostitutes were in the wrong. And this is kind of like where Unforgiven is. None of these characters there's no good guy characters. Like the best character who's like a good guy would probably be like the writer, the author, he seems to be morally straight in a way, even though he likes to exaggerate stories. And he does kind of got that little dark interests and these outlaws who go around killing people. I guess he wants to write these books to get into their mindset, like why they did these actions, why they shooting people, and why they did the things that they did. So I guess in that way, he's kind of curious what made these men who they are. So that's why I say this Unforgiven. And then you got William Money. I think his first wife gave him hope that he could be forgiven for all his misdeeds in the past. She gave him the hope that he didn't really have, gave him some light. But as the movie drags on, you see that he's starting to have these nightmares and he's starting to fear death for those things he did, because now he realizes that he's taking his money to kill these guys, that once he takes that step, once he does these deeds, he's no longer can be forgiven for his past actions, because he's basically returning to that kind of man. And, there is no going back. And now, when he's on death's door, which he is for a good portion of this movie, he realizes he cannot be forgiven for those actions, no matter what now, all the hope and light that his wife gave him before she died. All that is gone now, and he realizes that, once he dies, it's not going to be a very good, afterlife for him. And it's another thing about this movie is about how none of these characters are who they seem to be, who they are at the beginning of the movie. Let's start with the young guy here, Schofield Kid. Oh, I got a little scratch there. Schofield Kid here. He reminds me of those guys. When you're with their buddies, you're talking sports or guns or cars, you're talking, you got this guy who comes up here and he knows, you maybe watched like one inning of baseball. He might have, at most, when he worked on a car, was put oil into it. Or when he's shooting a gun, he might have fired a pistol one time, but he has absolutely no idea. But he comes to this group and he wants to be part of the gang. He wants to be part of this clique. And he starts talking like all this, he's using all this jargon that he's heard from movies or other guys saying and stuff. But deep down, he has absolutely no idea what he really is talking about. And that's kind of how that Schofield Kid is when he first meet him, when he first introduces himself to Clint Eastwood. He's using all these curse words, trying to make himself sound bad, like he's a mean guy that, if you just look at him wrong, he's going to shoot you dead. And, try to talk himself up, try to build up a persona, who he thinks how these outlaws would really act, out there, So he's kind of acting, trying to, what they like to say, these kids like to say these days, he's trying to fake it until he makes it. So that's what you just could tell, like the first time, when he meets Clint Eastwood, he's using all these swear words, trying to talk about like all these guys he's killed. And every time he meets Ned, he tries to talk all tough and stuff. And I like it how, William Money, Clint Eastwood's character, kind of sees through that facade and knows that, he probably hasn't really shot anybody. And because then when you see Clint Eastwood, Little Bill, Ned, English Bob, how they really act, they don't talk, they're not out there swearing every other word. They're not trying to act tough or anything. They just got that confidence, that silent confidence. You can just see how they act, how they walk, how they talk, that good old cliche. But that they got this, they're just reaping confidence, like they know that they're badasses, that they don't have to, they don't have to say anything. People just know that these guys can be deadly. But you got the kid here who's trying to act like he's tough when really he's not. And then, William Money, the first time you see him, he can't even get on a horse. Which kind of brings up, get a little sidetrack here for a minute. This movie does have a little bit of comedy in it. Like, it's kind of funny seeing Clint Eastwood trying to get on his horse and keeps on falling off of it. Keeps on going around in circles. They're like, hey, that's how I would be trying to get on a freaking horse. Or, the scene where him and Ned are walking together and they're talking about, if William Money ever goes, Clint Eastwood character ever goes to the town to get him some piece of rear end, to relieve his sexual stress. And when he says no, you got, Ned's like, what, do you use your hands? So you got kind of like that little bit of a humor there, the falling off the horse. And, you got little scenes like that. There's not a lot of comedy, but there's little pieces that gives you a little chuckle here and there. But going back to Real Money, when you first see him, you're kind of like the Schofield kid is like, this guy's a killer. He can't get on his horse. You can't shoot a can with a gun. How many westerns you've seen where the outlaw's all badass and he's shooting? Man, I'm just saying a lot of swearing. That's like the most swearing I've ever said. Maybe it's the movie influencing me here. But, he's like this, tough guy, on these westerns. They're always shooting cans off with their pistols like there's nothing. And then you see he can't even shoot a can off until he gets the big shotgun out and then he blows it off. But gradually you get to see, I like how his character is like an onion, like an onion. I don't know, Shrek just popped in my mind, Onion Boy. But he's like an onion. As the movie goes on, each layer gets peeled off until by finally at the very end, you see the core of William Money, like how he really was back when he's a kid, and when he's first starting out, like this real killer type of person who's, once he gets to that switch that flips to who he used to be, you got all the layers are off. Now you get the core William Money. And I think that's why he knows that he can't be forgiven. He's having those nightmares about the people he's killed in the past and how death is coming for him. And it doesn't look like it's going to be a nice afterlife for him. And then you got Bill. I think Little Bill is probably the character that you just know who he is throughout the whole movie. He's, you gotta think, he's just, at the beginning, you can't think he's a tough guy, like a tough sheriff, because he has to be, it's the Western. You gotta show these people, these, other criminals who could kill you at any minute, that, you kind of have to give off that toughness and beat them down before they beat you down type of scenario. And you get that way, but in the end, you just realize that he's probably not really a good guy. Plus, you get that aura of him at the very beginning when he kind of treats the prostitutes as this product, he's like, oh, these cowboys are just having fun, they just made a mistake, even though they basically cut up a girl, could have killed her. I wonder what he would have done if he would have killed her, if he would have gave them the same punishment. He sees the woman as objects. He's not married. Talking about Little Bill, he's not married. He has no girlfriend. Never had any. It doesn't seem like he had any interest in other women. Kind of looks down upon them. He's a real, you see a male chauvinist pig. It'd be Little Bill's face. He's kind of like that type of character. Even William Money, even though he's hardcore, just kills people without, back in the past, kill people without thinking twice and stuff. In the end, though, he knows he's somebody who's going to protect women. He sees them as, he sees them as people. He sees these prostitutes as people. You don't treat them that way. Let's see, what else do I want to say? Sit in horror, let's see, prostitutes are wrong, cowboy, wife gave hope. Just reading my notes real quick. I think I got everything covered. I don't have a script or anything, as you can see. But I think that's all I want to say about Unforgiven. There's other people who talk about the other parts of this movie, they probably do a better job of me, but I wanted to talk about stuff that I haven't heard other people talk about when I watch videos about Unforgiven. And I think that was it. Like, none of these characters are who they seem to be at the beginning of the movie, except for maybe Little Bill. Little Bill's character is pretty true to himself throughout the whole movie, but, got Schofield Kid. He's a tough guy, but he comes off as a tough guy, but you see that he's really not. When he shoots the guy in the bar, I kind of see Schofield Kid as William Money when he was a young guy. He's probably scared crapless when he shot somebody for the first time. And then the theme of, forgiving people, unforgiven, not being forgiven for your wrongdoings that you've done either in the past, or like killing people, which would be very hard to receive forgiven for that, or for just making a simple mistake as Davy Boy did. He held her down. He should have done that, but he feels really bad about it. He's actually trying to do what he can do to repent for his mistake, to be forgiven for it. But the prostitutes are unforgiving they're not going to forgive him for that mistake, even though no matter how hard he tries. You know, so you got that theme throughout. Yeah, so let me know. It's a 15-minute video. I kind of feeling it was going to be long because I really enjoyed this movie. There's a lot to say about this movie, like I said, but if you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. Musical score is great. Every scene is shot perfectly. You really get into William Money and through his growth or regression back to how he was before he met his wife. You know, and like I said, there's really no good guy in this movie. None of the characters are good. You don't have no angels in this. They're all demons, I guess you could say in other words. And, you know, I don't know what else to say. It's just great. Hopefully you enjoyed this review. Let me know below, what do you think about Unforgiven? What do you think there's things that people don't really talk about Unforgiven that you would like to talk about? Let me know below. I'm sure only 0 of you will be at this video at this time. So if you did make it to the end, let me know, because 16 minutes is a long time. Have a great day, and hopefully you'll see me around, and maybe I'll see you around, and but I won't know it. Have a great day. Bye.